Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to From Prison to Purpose. We're on season 2. We've got a great guest today. My name's Jimmy McGill. I'm the host of the show. What makes today's guest special is he's also an Arkansas native who did time in the Arkansas Department of Corrections, who found his own pathway to recovery, and now is all over social media. If you guys want to look him up, his name's Jason Davis, but his hashtag, his handle, all the things that you can find him with on social media is Jason with a Felony. Is that right? Welcome, Jason. What's up, man?
It's got so hard because when I go to Walmart, people are like, and I'd introduce myself. I just introduce myself as Jason with a Felony, and everybody laughs, and I get it, but really, from the viewpoint of my government name, my government given name now is felon, right? And so if you're going to call me that, if I'm going to pay taxes for it, I'm not going to be able to defend my family. I'm going to wear it proudly, and I'm going to do something about it, right?
Yeah, that's a good view, man.
If you're going to give it to me, you know how it is in the dope game. You give me an answer, I'm going to take a mile. Yeah. It's the same way in the business world. It's the same way in this message we're putting out here of hope. I mean, there ain't no room to leave no inches on the game, right? And it's a game of inches. It's a game of calculations. One step, right? We don't know if the right step today is going to be, we don't know if there's going to be a chance encounter at a Dollar General store. As my girl used to say, Dollar General. You go to Dollar General. We don't know if we're going to bump into that person. And rather than turn around and walk away, say, how are you doing and impact some child's life that's going through what? Well, my son's, he's going through it.
Yeah.
You're sitting there holding your Dr. Pepper. You're in that moment. God's Spirit's on you. Here you are. This is what me and you have been created for, and many others like us. Right. And so I wear it proudly. I'm Jason with a Felon,
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I like it. I think the first place I ever saw you was on TikTok. Now, did you have a big page on TikTok and you got shut down?
Banned a lot. As the preliminary conversation before they started rolling the cameras talk.
Yeah. Well, often when people, and that sucks because if you're sharing your truth,
right.
Your truth is your truth, right?
Right.
And so I hate to see people banned for sharing their views, I
think that may change, with the current political thing, I hope. I think that there's a lot of people pushing. I think that's at the basis of what makes us American.
Yeah.
The ability to say what we want to say. We've kind of dove into this. The biggest thing I can think of, and I know you probably agree with this, is there's this concept of being internet bullied. And I'm like, how can you bully me if I can push the power button? And I think we become soft. And I think we see that in some of our recovery. I think we see that in some of our street ministry. I think we see that in some of our churches. And I think everybody's fed up with it. We want real stuff. All right. You go to some of these benefits and everything, and they got those hors d'oeuvres, they're all perfectly made and they look so great. And they got the couple salmon eggs on it. They got the little thing. And you put it in your mouth and you're like, that is the most disgusting thing I ever ate in my life. But it looked good.
It did look good.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think we're turning the era on all this to where people are like, I really don't care how it looks. I just want it to work, right? I want it to feel me, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a good time to be in the game. And it's a game of inches, bro.
Yeah. So as now we know this a little bit more than most people watching the show today, but as social media influencers, obviously your goal is to grow your platform to carry your message.
Right.
Your message is catered to a very specific audience. My message is catered, JD's message, right. Ian Biggs's message, right?
I love JD.
Yeah, we all have our path forward. And, when you're growing a platform for the listeners and those watching right now, there are guidelines to monetization, right? Like everybody's trying to get paid off social media. That's the goal. The goal is to carry the message. Then ultimately it shifts and you're like, oh, wait, I can do this full time.
Right.
And when that happens, you come with all these rules. Right. You can do this, don't do that. If you say this, you get demonetized. If you say this, the algorithm will recognize it and not push it out to, like on my Facebook right now, we've got 202,000 followers. Right. Yeah.
Right.
And I can post a video, and if it's a wrong chain of words in that video, it will be shown to less than 1% of my following. Right. The algorithm's like a big ass dope boy that wants his cut. He's standing on the block and nobody moving unless I say so.
Right.
You're gonna go where I let you go. It doesn't matter if you own it or not. Like he's a bully.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you throw all the rules in it. YouTube has its rules. You say certain words, you can't say certain words. Facebook will and Instagram will really censor you.
Right.
And so
Strict and all that.
Well, sure. Yeah, I don't know.
I come from the. I had this conversation. I'm in an accountability group with a guy that you'll see. Some guys that you'll see. They're running companies that trade on NASDAQ. I mean, here's this. That is what the gift's been for me from opening up my mouth. Here's this guy that's still on parole that is going around, and shout out to Ryan and Claire Hall. Y'all might know Ryan and Claire. They were on Street Outlaws, the Team Roxy. They're in North Carolina right now with $50,000, $100,000 worth of stuff on a Black Mountain. And this morning he was carrying a duffel bag, and the guy asked him, "What's that for?" And he said, "Because I'm going to shoot people." And the guy couldn't take a joke, right? And he calls the police. So this morning, with the big truck, semi full of goods to people going to Swannanoa, here's my best friend out in front of a hotel getting questioned by the police, who happens to be an ex-con. Got his life together that you see on Discovery Channel.
yeah.
Because somebody couldn't take a joke, right?
Yeah.
And I think as a nation, we're getting past that. I think there's going to be more room for that. We got to return to robust, hardened people that believe in God, and, people that are stand on their morals and values. And yes, I agree that there's probably some algorithm stuff, probably a lot more than I'll ever know.
Yeah. Well, but the more we do it, the more we learn.
Yeah, and I think that's great. And you're smarter than me. That's probably what I should be doing. But I come from I fought all my life. I fought nationals. If you remember Lafayette Lawson, I was on his team. I'm from the old school. Hey, you just punch them in the nose, right?
Yeah, you get it over with.
Swing a hammer, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not for everybody. I get that. And if I've offended you, I'm sorry. But but here's the deal. I'm not really sorry at all.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right. And the guy that in the big boy on the street, I hate to say this, but I'm gonna tell you the truth, was always the fat guy with all the dope and the really good looking girlfriend. You ever notice that? That was so insecure about anything going on that he would try to, and that's kind of how social media is. He's just the guy that's holding the sack.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I have a very similar. When we leave, I'll take you by the next step.
yeah, I'd love to see it, man.
I think White George is up there right now. They're doing some kind of commissary cook-off with all my guys, and we got a 40-bed center, and
That's awesome.
Yeah, and all my guys, they're knuckleheads, right?
Absolutely.
They're the Jimmys and the Jasons, and they're the ones nobody else in Arkansas wants, right? And they're all gang affiliates. And then when they get there, right, they either did time with me, they heard about me.
Get in the show.
Yeah.
They know, Jimmy.
They did time with me. They ran the streets with me. They heard about me as they were entering the streets, and I was getting my life together. My name was still ringing bells a little bit.
Right.
And, or they read my book.
Right.
And they did time with people who are still telling stories about me. Well, you should have seen him when he was young and, And, so they get there because they think that's like the promised land for them. That's like, if the miracle can happen,
It could happen here.
it happened here. Yeah. And so,
I've seen that one time. I was high, way high.
yeah, saw the bright lights.
Yeah. The 140. There is 144,000, and they do sing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, man. And my approach is very similar to yours. I look at everything in recovery the same as I did in my addiction in the streets. Like, you don't lose that ability because you're not in prison. You can still read the room. You can still peep game. Look, I got guys right now that would wake up from a random phone call at 2:30 in the morning. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, I'm over here. I need a $30 sack. Hey, I'm on the way. I'll be there in 10 minutes. It's 2:30 in the morning. You're asleep. We call that work ethic. You know what I mean? Like, if you can get clean and you can rearrange that mindset, and you can focus on something good and you can apply that, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. It's like, we don't lose that, Jason. And so I tell the guys all the time, look, man, they don't want to walk to work. Bro, you would walk butt naked in a blizzard for a bag of dope with one sock on and a pair of boxers.
Or an ugly girl.
With a bump.
Yeah. You know, they were an ugly girl with a one-legged girl holding bump. They had a pet parrot. Yeah. I get it.
And so that's kind of my mindset too. Like I look at everything the same from the same concept. Like I've held on to enough of who I used to be that I still have a practical approach to everything.
I like the deal that you said about Jelly Roll. I think that each individual's recovery is their recovery, you know, and I deal with that a lot too, because a lot of people I run around with, they smoke weed or they have a drink, or, you know, and I may have a beer. I don't know. I mean, go and sit on and tell a lot of you about that, but I can't use methamphetamine.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's been a tough game. I've caught a lot of flack for that because of, you know, I'm living out loud, and a lot of people don't agree with that, you know, and I believe if you really want to make it in all this, and this is what you want to do, then you're going to have to assume that you've got to take the shadow and you got to take the fake off, right?
Yeah.
It's like when I was talking about, you know, I really don't care if you're gay. I mean, whatever. I think guys that dress up as women, it's a little weird, okay? Yeah. Especially if they want to go to our schools and do that. But when I talk about gay, I want everybody to understand I was abused. And then when I got high, I did some gay shit.
Yeah.
All right. And so this is fixing a broadcast to how many hundreds of thousands of people. All right. And I just said something that is very embarrassing for me. I'm not proud of it, but I'm man enough to say that, right? Because I'm a real dude. And when we want to fix some of these problems that we have, and it is a mindset.
Yeah.
It is a mindset problem. We got to have the mindset and courage to look at some of these tougher issues and say, that's okay. We're going to fix that too. We got to pull that. We got to set aside the stereotypes or look at this. I mean, we're probably fixing to go do the ayahuasca thing again, right? That's pretty controversial. Right? I mean, people are like, that's a drug. That's straight dimethyltryptamine, right? And they're going to play the band and the drums, and they're going to have a worship service, and everybody's going to talk to God, and, you know, but it worked for me.
Yeah.
You know, when I first manufactured that, okay, that was what got me clean for a year.
Yeah.
You know,
What is this called?
ayahuasca? Ayahuasca is straight dimethyltryptamine, number 2 strongest psychedelic. If the success rate, how I got involved in this, I was seeing a girl and I was in love.
Yeah. Always is.
I was in love with her, and I loved them all, right? And I loved that dope, and I was ready to get clean, and she didn't want to get clean, and I thought, well, I can rescue this, and she told me there's this older couple that works with me. They're in Hot Springs, and they were moving to Colorado. They were going to go grow weed, right? And so, good for them, but they said they go to this church. They're like 70 years old, bro.
Yeah.
And they drink this potion. And I said, well, what's the potion? I'm thinking like Jim Jones or whatever. What is it? In a
Potion drinkers.
Yeah. And so I catch the guy, and I go in tears about how I love this girl and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, I'll tell you what happened. He said, I was a heroin junkie in Dallas, Texas. And he said, I'm eating out of trash cans. I'm all scabbed up, you know. And this guy comes up to me and says, hey, I can help you. He said, what are you going to do? You take me to church? He said, exactly. He said, get out of here. He said, no, it ain't like it's the Portuguese. It's called the Santo Daime. Okay. Then Rich, time goes by, I don't know how long it was, bumps into the same guy. You know, Lord, I won't give up, right? You know, we're going to help somebody. And he says, I was just about beaten. And I can remember being beaten. I remember when I was sitting in that jail cell. I was 340 pounds. I hadn't done a push-up. I had not done anything. And God said this to me. Can you hear me now, Jason? Yeah. And that's kind of, this guy had this moment. He said, well, I went with him. And he said, man, the great thing about Austin, Texas is the music. I said, really? He said, yeah, we went to this church service, and they got all these musical instruments and they started playing worship music, and we drank this potion. And he said, 9 hours later, I never used again. And in the numbers and you'll see this too. Sean Ryan talks about IBO, which is the step above it. You got to go to Mexico to do this. But the numbers on ayahuasca with opiate addicts, I believe it's at 80 or 85% success rate for using addicts and never use again.
Wow.
And it's just insane.
So it's literally, you're telling me it's like a magic potion. You drink it and your problems.
It is made from 2 vines. You can make it real easy from Mimosa hostilis. That's how we made it. It's mimosa trees you see around here. Those are not the right ones. So go cut it. They got to have purple bark. But, and you boil this and you boil it down, reduce it, and you drink the potion. We made the freebase form, which, we won't get into all the science of that, but it's real simple. And, if you want to shoot that up, you got to put Kool-Aid on it like you did crack. No, because you got to break it down with acid, right? And because it's freebase. And I shot it up. I had smoked it a few times and seen it talk to God. Everything in nature bends down. It's a crazy, you get to see creation. But I was at the end of this period of my life. I'm living in this very nice lake house. I ran everybody off. The sink's full of dishes, the laundry's piled up. I've sat there and watched porn for years.
Yeah.
I had to have elbow surgery from sitting in a office desk chair because I was so addicted to watching, large things get rammed into, girls. And so thought everybody had hacked me. That was the big thing too. That's how I learned Linux, because I thought everybody had hacked me. And eventually someone did hack me, my business partner. Yeah, I think he's got videos of me doing weird things to myself watching porn. I don't know. It's yet to come out. I think the last offer was $5,000. I said, let it roll.
If you get for this, buddy, ransomware.
Yeah.
But, so I took this substance and I mixed it with what I had left in a bag and a spoon, put the Kool-Aid on it, all up. Now I have huge problems hitting myself. I've done shot all my veins out, right? And my neck and everywhere else. And for some reason, it just went whoop.
Right in.
And I was like, wow, bam. And I punched that thing. And about an hour later, I come to conscious. And I had 2 knives. And they were stuck in the railway of this big deck on Lake, on my Airbnb, right? Bam. And I'm butt ass naked. And it's storm. And I thought, man, this don't make no sense. And I packed my shit and I went to my mama's.
Yeah.
And it was over. And so there's a group of people that are dealing with some trauma, and I offered to go deal with them. And this will be the first time I've experienced in that arena, but I don't know if I recommend it. I think that
it helped you.
It helped me. And I think at that point in the ball game, I was ready for any help. And then then God stepped in. And a lot of people got this, and I get it. I love the little signs that say Jesus loves me, but my relationship with God has been like some of my relationships with people I used to spar with, right? Great people would go to the world, but would not hesitate from knocking me in my head, right? And so that's kind of the relationship I've developed with people. I've helped a lot. I've been so grateful. I have like you said, I kind of specialize in knuckleheads.
Yeah.
And I've been so grateful. Thousands of people have reached out and said, hey man, today I'm day 30 or I'm day 18 or I'm 6 months. And it's all because I watched a video or my son's getting clean or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Because addiction's a weird thing.
It is.
You do weird things. I mean, who goes and shoplifts?
Anybody on Xanaxes, right? Like, that's the crazy part about that. Like, is every drug has its own effect, its own side circumstances, right? Like meth will pervert you, will paranoid you, will have you hearing and seeing and
absolutely.
Secret everything, right? The whole conspiracies unravel. Yeah. And then Xanax bars will have you waking up with everybody's stuff in your pocket. You're not allowed at 13 new houses and you don't know why your friends won't talk to you. And
exactly.
Yeah, it's
I never experienced that.
Yeah.
Until I'd put on a how to cook meth symposium in Tyler, Texas, of all places. Just talk about Tyler. And I took 2 girls with me and we went down there. I'll spare all the details, but one of them had ate some things called Xanax.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And by the time, if I almost left at a Mexican restaurant, I was like, you're
Crazy.
out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. Those pills hit different. They make you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still see people, there's so much confusion about what recovery is. And everybody's in a bubble. Everybody's pretty close-minded when it comes to recovery.
Right.
Unless you actually get out on a national scale like I do, the people that I work with, and understand that, okay, we got 25 million Americans in recovery. That's 25 million different paths of recovery.
How current are those numbers?
They're current.
Okay, so what's out?
Yeah.
What is the amount of do you know the amount of people that are currently labeled as a felon? Because the last data I got, it's like 17 or 18. It was like 20 million.
Yeah, I have no idea what that number looks like. That's an interesting question, though. I can probably find out that number.
Because I think it's, not to take away from you, but I think it's a collective force. I don't think there's a political person that's running for public office that because it's 25 million that got drug problems, and I don't know how many of those people are going to be convicted this year of some type of possession charge, or lo and behold, you have a firearm and a bag of dope or whatever. And so what is the collective percentage of those young men and women or older men that have family that are in some type of public service? And I don't think there's anybody that's making the rules at legislature that's going to look at their son and daughter that has a son and daughter, or maybe their grandchild or whatever, and tell them, you can't protect yourself.
Yeah.
Don't put no gun in your house to protect your family. I don't think there's nobody on a conscious level that is a parent that's going to tell their family to do that. And yet we have laws
that prevent it.
That prevent that. I'm not talking about going out here and blazing guns down the street. As an American citizen, as an American brother, okay, we have a right to defend what is ours. And I think that's the basis of how our country became to be, right? And I think we're overlooking and shadow banning a lot of people, not to mention the amount of licensing. You can't own an alcohol license.
Yeah.
Can't be a doctor or lawyer. Can't run for public office because of the infamous crime list, right?
Yeah, I can't run for office with my pardon.
Right, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I can on a local level, like if I wanted to try to be mayor or city council, I could do that.
You can't run for the state legislature.
I cannot, and I've had this conversation as recent as last year.
And so what is it about you that is not special enough for you to be a public figure and voice your opinion for your elected community?
Yeah.
Nothing. Not one thing. And yeah, I mean, I get a little heated about it. People say you get triggered. You damn right I get triggered.
Yeah.
I think more people need to get triggered. You need to stand on what you believe in, because I believe that you would represent a far more margin of what it means to be American, blue collar, working class, taxpayer, the people that build the bridges, weld the rods, right? I mean, these are what the fabrics that make this country great, makes Arkansas great, makes this county great. And yet they don't have the right to be represented by someone that speaks their language.
No.
That's wrong.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I don't think you'd be hard pressed to find a state representative that gets out, boots on the ground, and works with the communities like I do.
Dude, I've seen the pictures.
Yeah.
That's the argument about the church. I can't stand the church. Them people want my money, blah, 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 blah. Well, church is there for imperfect people, right? And I'm not saying there ain't bad churches. I'm just saying there's good churches. But let a tornado rip ass down Little Rock Main Street, or let a hurricane go through North Carolina, Tennessee. The first people you're going to see just happen to have crosses on their trailers, or they're going to be convicts, or they're going to be recovery.
There'll be somebody out there giving back selflessly.
Right. And so why is that population represented in the fabric of our legislature and community? I don't know. I tell you what it is. And I think it is part of the controlling system. See, what scares them, Jimmy, and not to go on a tangent, I will, is what someone was talking about Andrew Tate one day. They said, why is it that they attack Andrew Tate? And he says this, he says, it's because Andrew Tate has the hearts of young men. Right. And that's what's scary. That's what's scary about me and you. That you might have the hearts of young men, because young men are what build and fight for this nation. It's what, if you need somebody to dig that ditch with no insurance, get you a young man. You need somebody to die in a ditch over in Afghanistan, get you a young man. And so what happens if somebody that speaks their language, that has a background and character,
Somebody they can identify
with, starts winning the hearts of young men?
Yeah.
They pose a threat to the system.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So talking about the system, felonies, how old were you when you went to prison here in Arkansas?
I went down in 2000.
Okay.
Born in 74. And so that's March the 12th for all you scammers. Okay. Get my birthday right. You'll represent. I've got a huge amount of scammers, man. Huge. And so I was 26?
Okay.
26. I went down. I went to Commons Penitentiary. They had tried to give, they had called me and said, they asked me, said, "We gonna go to work for us?" And I said, "I don't know about all that." And they called me. If you look at the paper, I got busted at Jason's. They said they looked in and see me cutting a kilo of cocaine. It was an ounce. I did have a cleaver. And I was there at 10 o'clock at night, no normal business hours. What happened was the guy that sold me the dope called the police who was working for him, okay? And they, blah, blah, blah. They couldn't tell us who called or whatever, and this and that. And so while I was out, I would not act right. I would not go to recovery. I was going to go back to doing what I was doing. They knew it. They'd sit up there at the restaurant, harass us and everything. My mom and dad wasn't involved in the restaurant. They'd come up and help me a little bit here and there, but I'm just got this restaurant that just took off cooking. It's just banging. It's just going crazy. Bam, 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 right? And now we got this urban legend. Everybody's coming in to see that. You got any cocaine? Yeah, and I didn't do cocaine. I did meth. I just bought the cocaine because girls wanted
It's a coke. Yeah.
well, and the dude said, all he got's ounces. And he had a bushel basket of ounces. It was literally a bushel basket. They were playing Xbox and he kicked the deal and they were falling off, right? That's what it was. Crazy. And so I wouldn't act right. I go to the Motley Crue concert, and I leave the Motley Crue concert. I'll leave out some of the explicits on that. But as I parked underneath, it was at the river. You know how you park underneath all that stuff? Well, I can't remember simply where it was down on Broadway or whatever it is. And this guy said, "Hey man, you got some stuff?" I said, "Yeah." And I had a half ounce in a Tylenol bottle. And I whooped that couple lines. I did that line, and I went straight down the road, and all them cops were blocking that road. Right, you can go if you had to go on 6:30. And I did a donut right there in front of them. I just did
Best criminal ever.
this stupid stuff. And so they pulled me over. I had lost a lot of weight. And when I got out, I stuck a pill bottle in my shorts, and that pill bottle went right through my shorts and landed on the ground. He never saw it.
Yeah.
When he asked me about my ID, I had the money from the till. I pulled it out, and I had 2 driver's licenses that were 4 pieces. They're front back. They've been separated. Yeah. I said, he said, "Sir, I think I'm going to arrest you for DWI." And I was like, "Well, write me. Let's go." And the girls wouldn't drive off in the car, right?
Yeah.
And so I got a second charge, and went down, 12 years of Class Y. Did 3 years. Got out, was good about a year and a half. Was with Donnie Ford at Dallas County 309. Probably the greatest human in law enforcement I've ever met.
Yeah.
A good guy, man. And really means a lot to me in that area. And come home, pick back up about a year and a half, and they learned how to cook dope.
Yeah. They didn't change it.
They took the whole dope cooking thing to a whole nother level.
Everybody was manufacturing meth.
Manufacturing, come up with a new way. A lot of people didn't know this. I got involved in the internet, and then I had studied this with this guy. And the problem was they ran out of red phosphorus. Oh, what we do? Red dope. You know how they are, And so come up with a way to take systemic fungicide, okay, and reduce it and get salts of phosphate. You get mono and phosphate salts, right, which will react. You just got to have phosphorus and you got to have iodine, that extra production, and then you throw your pills in there, right? Then they go with it. But that went across the nation. And I showed 2 guys. Next thing I knew, the whole country was shooting, and people blowing their houses up because it creates phosphine gas, which is highly explosive in the presence of oxygen.
Yeah.
Did all that, man. Had some things with getting clean, about 16, somewhere around there. So we went from like 99 to 2002, 2013, rebuilding the house down on the lake. Guy calls me, says, man, I need to get paid. And I said, okay, cool. And I left the hotel. I was staying there with my child and the mother of my child. And I went down there to meet him at the Family Dollar right there on 7th South. I had 85 grams. I had 84 grams and 1 gram. And I'm sitting there, and it wasn't a dope deal. It was a legitimate employment. I was paying this guy, and what had happened is my neighbors had called me in. So I wasn't down there. I was too strung out to go down there and build my house. I had people down there doing it, right? Real stupid stuff, right? Idiot, loser. And they had called law, and the guy was driving a stolen truck. And so this state trooper goes by, and he sees the truck. He pulls in. He gets out, and he says, who's driving that truck? And this guy that's with me says, I am. Well, he handcuffed. He goes back to the car. He gets handcuffed. I'll punch on that gas.
Yeah.
I'll run off. Get out. Get on. Do the Scarface thing with the 1 gram through the other deal. Run off. Get a fleeing charge. Got 12 years for that. They punished me for that one, and then got busted 4 times in 5 weeks because the guy that he handcuffed had a pill bottle with my name on it. He threw his dope out, which I'd made the dope. Wasn't my dope though. It was his. They charged me that.
Because it's in a pill bottle with your name.
Yes. And so,
So you give it to the guy in the pill bottle, your pill bottle, and then he gets the law behind him and he tosses it. And so they bring the dope back to you.
Yeah, right. Because I ran off. And they told me, they said, you probably beat this one. And then the second thing was a girl was in front of the house. And the neighbors had called the law again because I live in a nice little neighborhood. They thought we was fighting. We wasn't. We was just having a good time. And that's got honest truth. Not because we fought plenty of times before then and after, right? But that day, we was just having a good time. They pull up, and he does a welfare check, and he walks up to her car. Well, instead of going inside the house, she dumps all the stuff in the truck. I'm totally out. It's all on video. They charged me for that, okay? They had my number, right? And so the third time, we had gotten, at that time, I had a long-lasting friendship with Neil Parliament, who went down for prostitution, and from the Houston Sheriff's Department guy. And Neil made some poor decisions, loving to death. But Neil and my baby's mother had started seeing each other, unbeknownst to me. And I went by my baby's mother's house, which I was paying for, and opened the door. Well, she called the law. That was what do they call that? Residential burglary or some shit.
Yeah.
And I never take it. I just walked in, walked out. One of those deals, men and women deals. And the 4th time they actually caught me with some dope, was out here on Highway 7 coming off Fox Pass. He said, this is funny. He says, first off, Felix says, you gonna turn that car off? Yes, yeah, I know Felix. Felix is a cop. He's been known him all my life, And I said, yeah, Felix. And I was junked up. And they ran the dog. They said, the dog's triggering on the seat. I said, well, they said, look, Jason. They said, here's what we'll search you one more time. If we can't find no drugs, we're going to let you go. We're going to let you go. And so instead of searching me, he picked me up. It was, I can't think of his name, but called him Tiny. You know how they are when they call you Tiny. He picks me up and just shakes me, and the dope hit the ground. So why did you tell me? I said, well, I wasn't going to tell you. And I remember being in the back of that car saying, thank God it's over.
Yeah, relieved.
And so they come at me they tried to career me out in the feds on the second time down, didn't work. Federal prosecutor told me, said, hey, you got this guy, maybe with 2 grams of dope. He's going to beat these other cases, And so they said, here's what we're going to do.
Kick you back to the state.
They kicked me back to the state. Then they said, we're going to give you a plea bargain on all this, right? And if you do not take the plea bargain, then we're not going to offer you a plea on the 2 grams and that you got caught with, and you're already a convicted felon. We're going to take you to jury trial. I said, well, I'll take the plea because you will give me 100 years for this. And so I took it was 30 and it was 54 years. And my mom, and I was so arrogant. I was such an idiot, because I had this big restaurant and everybody knew who I was and I was a tough guy and had some money, had a lake house, had some fancy cars, I'm Mr. And, I just couldn't handle it. And so my mom says, first off, they tied me to Derek Estelle. And Derek is the guy that made the national news escaping from the jail in Garland County, if you remember that. So well, that was his second attempt, the one that made the news. His first attempt, he was tied to me. And he spits out a handcuff key. And he tells me, he says some things I won't say on here. But he's basically, you want to go get a girl and get wild? And I'm like, dude, I've already in enough trouble, man. And so someone behind him sees what he's doing. He's unshackling his deal. I'm not saying I didn't cough. I coughed, okay, for him.
Yeah.
But he jumps when they come up to check the leg irons. He gets wind of it. The guy behind him sees him, and then he blames me because I talked to my lawyer. Well, okay, whatever, dude. But he jumps over the deal and runs right into the bailiff, and the bailiff pulls his gun out. Now, this is perfect. This is in the middle of the courtroom, okay? All right. And everybody's, you imagine, guns out, got the cops doing this, following him, and he's going right across all the people in the audience, right? And I'll never forget it, man. Out of all that, I could hear my mom going, "Oh my." Yeah, "Oh my." And runs out the deal. They track him down later on the deal. But I stood up in that same courtroom like an arrogant guy I was. And that woman asked me, on such and such day, did you such and such do this? And I said, absolutely. That was my response. And my mama, at the end of when I decided to get right, when we got into it, this is years later, this is 4 years, almost 4 years ago. When we got into it, it was over a kilo, about a kilo. And she told my mom that I was using, and I broke crazy. Right. And then she broke crazy on me, blah, blah, blah. One of the deals, nothing I'm proud of. And I took off running. And I went out on the hills and all that and did that and hid. And I talked to Clay Jansky, my attorney. He said, "Do you think you can get clean?" Yeah, I get clean. Because I'd relapsed on a pound, and I relapsed, and I got it kind of straight, and I got me a kilo, and I was, here I am. I got this big sack, and I said, yeah, I can do that. So I went out there and buried it, had a guy pick it up, and they got me a hotel room with somebody else's name, and I got me a big box of chicken, and big box with Little Debbie's, and 2 deals of some type of pop, and I went to the hotel, and I got straight, and I turned myself in. But the reason that happened was because that night, after all, it simmered down, the lights had went, I'd creeped out and looked at the police, went back in the woods. I went up there and beat on my mama's door. And she said, "You can't come in here." And that's what changed that really, she didn't come see me and they missed I've been incarcerated for 6 years. They missed maybe 4 times in 6 years. Money on my books, phone calls every day, letters every so often. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you're doing good time.
Yeah, and when she looked at me and she said, "I'm done." And then I drove by and I seen the for sale signs on the farm, and I'm there. I thought, Davis, you done, this has got too far.
Yeah.
And so that was just a progressive process of me making stupid decisions and God correct. Listen, God, this is the thing about God, okay? Jason would come along and put a period in his life, and God would come along with an eraser and put a comma.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. And that has been the story. And so when people talk about all this stuff, they talk about how, in that I'm going to do this, or I'm going to improve that, or I'm going to maximize my health or whatever. The book of Ecclesiastes says that both the sinner and the righteous, you labor with that day that they don't know, and that's your death. And I know this for a fact, Jimmy, that God is real, If you don't think I don't believe that, some of my videos, I get it. I'm not for everybody, but God is real and God has a purpose, and he is the author of Jason S. Davis's life. He calls it, not the police, not the dope, not the dope horse that I love so much, because but God himself. And if I can push that into the people, because I've sat on the floor, man, with the naked, beautiful girl. She's naked. She's ready. She's done her shot. I'm sitting there on the floor. I'm covered in blood. There's 15 dirty rigs full of blood. I can't get one going. I'm crying. I'm throwing a fit. I've done busted a mirror, and so by the time I get one in my finger, I get that shot in my finger because all my veins are gone. She's done watched it all. She's like, hell with this. I'm done. I'm not even high no more. Who wants to be high around that? That was not one event. That was 10 years of that.
Today, that is insane, man. So what does life look like for Jason today?
Man, it's great. I don't know if it's, back up. Life is good.
Yeah.
Life has its own presentation of failures and defeats and victories, right? Everybody's healthy. Thank you, Lord. My daughter's back in my life. Thank you for that, Lord. Social media is good. Going to school, decent mechanics. I own trucks. I run trucks. I'm starting to have relationships with people that are doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
People, I'm bumping up those relationships. I'm getting around people that are making me self-conscious. I think that's very important that you get around people that make you think, man, I need to step my game up, right? Because you're not growing. But I've had some hardships too, but I haven't used, Have I relapsed? What do you call relapsing? I mean, have I done a line? Yeah, I think I've used twice in 4 years, okay?
Yeah.
I did it. Overrated.
Yeah.
It's got too much to lose. Like I got a buddy, and if I called his name, you know him. He's a social media. He's been on the End show. He was going to North Carolina. He bought him a motorcycle, And I thought, well, here we go. And sure enough, he busted his ass. That's what I've had many, many motorcycles. That's what they're good for, right?
Yeah. Hurting you.
And I didn't hear from him. And his girl called me, and I told her, I said, look, he is my friend. I do not talk, because I've been the bad friend. I screwed your old lady, okay? And that's how you become a good friend, is you don't do that stuff no more. And so when she called, I said, I haven't heard from him. And so for like 3 weeks, last 3 weeks, I've walked around and wondered, that dude's got to be dead. Right? And finally I heard from him yesterday. He texted me, he said, I hit him and I hit myself. And I said, I get it. I mean, and what happened? He was on a motorcycle. Guy bumped into him on the side of the road. He said, I didn't know if he was looking at me or the bike. Yeah. This thing you don't know, And so he said, I got off that bike and I went and got me some stuff. And I said, well, are you done? He said, yeah, I'm done. He said, I'm 6 days clean. I said, but he said, what do you think? He said, I'm telling myself I need to get on my social media stuff. Because, you done lost the phone, all those accounts are, how it is, you ain't got none of your stuff. And I said, yeah. I mean, that's what I would do. If you want to be real, you better tell people the truth. And that's all I've done is tell people the truth, man.
Yeah.
Your
story is your truth.
That's it. And I think we got, I mean, it's just a weird deal. I'm really with the whole felon rights restoration thing. I don't agree with that. I think I have no problem serving my time.
Yeah. And you served a lot of time, right? Like how long, bro? How long combined did you spend in the Department of Corrections?
When it was all said and done with incarceration and supervision, it'll be 27 years.
27 years in the ADC. I got to ask, man, what was the craziest thing that you saw down there?
At Cummins, it was pretty lax. There wasn't a lot of, you hear a lot of stories. But I think the craziest thing I seen is they locked, and I'll leave the facility out because I was a 309 there. They had arrested someone that was from that area in Dallas, Texas, and they go get them, right? And they bring them in, and it was a Hermanda fight. Had both sets of equipment.
Yeah.
And they didn't know what to do with them. And so they sent them over to the females version, and they got to doing what humans do. And they brought them back over in the male version, and they got to doing what they do over there too. And they would go in these, and I,
wait, Jason.
yeah,
So they arrest this person.
right,
This person got a penis and a vajayjay.
both sets of equipment.
Okay. They put the person in the women's unit.
Which at that time it still is, I believe, in this county, without getting anybody in trouble, was that a separate deal. So, and I was the cook, and they would load me up, and I would take the trays over to the female side, and I'd see them. It looked like a chick to me. It would look like a big chick, you know what I mean? But, no big deal. And so I noticed that it was in a home cell one day, he or she, or whatever it refers to, and so it was there a day, and then they sipped it back into the men's unit pod, and apparently that was their orientation and preference. And it was, Pornland Central. Wow. And so
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
it was crazy. And so I think the most craziest part about it for me, and I mean, that's nuts, was that the resolution was to put the person in solitary confinement, which happened to be a holding cell up at the front where the bookend was.
Yeah.
And all these guys that were 309s would go up and look at it. Yeah, I should say it, at the person, right?
Person, yeah.
And would, they come back, and I'd be like, and it was like this bizarre carnival trick, right? And at the very basis of it, that was God's creation. They were made that way, right?
That's a trip.
It was a trip, and
Trip. I didn't even think those stories like that were real.
it was real, for real. It was for real, and it was what was so sad about it too is I was very close to people that were in administration and responsible for supervising everybody. Very dear friends of mine. They didn't know what to do, right? There was saying no.
You're in a mess.
Yeah, but what do we do? And so it was a weird time for them. And but I've seen some people get stabbed. I've seen some people get busted up the head of locks. I walked in the wrong thing. I think the biggest lie that I'll tell you what, the most this is real. You spend so much time having sex on drugs, right?
Yeah.
And all them girls will tell you how big you are, right? You're the biggest man in the world. And the first day I walked into a penitentiary shower, I looked at that and said, those bitches were lying.
Well, now you know. They're lying to you. They've been lying to me this whole time.
That'll be a good clip.
But that's the truth today. Holy cow.
All them bitches lied to me. You know my French?
What do you do for a living today?
I am currently in school. This is great.
Diesel mechanic. You said that a while ago.
Well, you're right. I bought, when I had the restaurant, a lot of people accused me of burning my own restaurant. That was not the case. I had a fiance at that time, a different girl than the one I'm married to. I was sober. I decided, she told me, what are you going to do with your life? She goes, why don't you reopen Jason? I had $58,000. I spent every bit of it. Reopened on a Monday out of nowhere. It caught fire and burned the ground right in front of us. Lost everything. Lost $500,000. Okay. Insurance paid. We had a little bit of insurance, not a lot. Not nowhere near to cover it. And so I took the money, went and bought a machine. I was just fed up with the restaurant thing, and so bought this little 22,000-pound excavator and a trailer, bought a 1-ton truck. Because everybody's like, man, 1 ton will pull everything. Bull BS, it won't. And went to Dallas, Texas, picked up this machine, put that machine on, blew all 8 tires on the trailer. Got it home after blowing the head gasket out of the truck, or the first time, and then went to 2 more trailers. Finally bought the right trailer. Bought a bad semi, got a CDL down in Pine Bluff. Bought an auction truck, my own truck. Sold the machine, bought a right truck, got a dump trailer. Now we haul. I got 2 trucks, an end up trailer. But didn't know nothing about diesels. Didn't know nothing about trucks. There was one race run. I couldn't tell you how to change a set of brakes. Saved my life, right?
You got a dump truck and a diesel and you don't know how to work on it.
Right. I've got 2 end dumps. And then I don't have a clue how to change tire.
Nothing.
Just there's a Steve Harvey deal where he talks about just jump.
Yeah. You jump.
I jumped, and Dana hit rock bottom with finances, but come back strong and went to school. And now I'm crazy. I'm 50 years old. I was always decently smart. I just got a scholarship from Crow Burling Yang. The state is taking care of my school. That's how I got involved. I had seen this stuff in North Carolina. I didn't know what to do. I got a guy that builds Costco's Southeast Industrial Construction. Kenny Noah is his name. He's a self-made dude. He's a crane operator, multi-million-dollar company. He calls me. He support me with the veterans deal. Love you, Kenny. Love Southeast, Costco. He calls me. He says, let me pay for your school. So what's already paid for? Like I didn't make enough money to go, to have to, that was the federal grant deal. And then I also won another scholarship award from the state before that. So I paid for everything, right? I said, I'll tell you what to do. We hung up. I called him back. I said, I'll tell you what, if you want to buy me something, I want you to donate to North Carolina. He said, no problem. I'll give you $5,000. And he sent me like a message that said, I'm just going to make it 10. So he gave me $10,000. Then he put $1,200 in an Apple card. And I said, well, look, let's do this right. Have Jennifer call up to Costco, because that's his main customer base, and have them put something together. And so they put together 2 pallets, and we went up there and delivered it to a guy that is with 25 United. Stephen, I can't think of Stephen's last name, but he's the special operator, special services, Project Rubicon. He'd been on Fox News, the national news, and I got a buddy that also was with the True Tour, Sean McFarland, that somehow got on the phone and got this guy on the phone. Stephen Lighton's his name, okay? And, I'm watching him on Fox News, and the next thing I know, I'm talking to this dude, it's crazy. And that's all because of social media and speaking truth and putting yourself out there. That's why I go so hard, man, because I know what the end result is.
Yeah.
And you see it too. You out of them guys down there, I don't know what your numbers are, but invariably, you're not playing for the people that are going to fail. You're playing for the one that's going to get it, right?
For sure.
And a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people can't work on 10% margins, bro.
Yeah.
Even though their businesses run on 10% margins. When it comes to people.
Yeah. Loving people is messy too. Like,
oh, it's messy.
The field I'm in, it's lives are on the line. And they, I hate to say this word, and I try to remove myself off of a pedestal every time the guys put me on one, but the truth is they do.
They do.
And they don't know how to take me off of it. So it's my obligation and responsibility when they idolize me and place me on this pedestal for me to remove myself, since they can't. Because when someone is looking up to you that much, Jason, we're responsible for our words, right? Like what I say will influence them whether I want it to or not. And so, I've got to treat them right. I've got to be kind to them. I've got to encourage them when the world's already against them.
Right.
Like you do 10, 15 years in the joint, you come home, the deck is against you. Society is not
set in a house.
No, you can't. You got to check a box, right?
We
call it the second sentence. And the second sentence is when you go to the penitentiary, you do your time, you come home, you're in a positive mindset, and you're still suffering all of these situations because of your conviction, right? You're unemployable for this work. You're unemployable for the house, right?
That's been the main one I've heard. I can get a job,
can't get a house.
I can't get a house. And because especially like the field that I'm in, logistics, diesels, skilled trade jobs, people that want to put their hands on something. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of people want to do that. So a guy with a criminal record can move up.
Yeah.
But he can't find a place to live.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So your story, Jason, is you grow up, you come up pretty good.
Oh, I had it made.
Yeah, I had it made.
Full to death.
You still find yourself trapped in some drug use, which leads to full-fledged addiction. You're a restaurant owner. You end up doing 26 years in the Department of Corrections.
I do 9 or 8 of the. I'm sentenced to, it is. It's done 1 PV, and so 90 days, and I did a year for running. The only time I ever been right for the police, but so you're figuring another like 8 years, 8 some change. I've been incarcerated, but I'll have served 27 years in the department some way in the system, right?
So 26 years, and how many calendars do you actually end up serving day for day? 8 years in the joint is a long time. So you
roughly 8. I'd 7 if they teach you how to round stuff up in technical math.
Yeah. We learned how to add from the dope man. 5 more minutes.
So I call it's closer to 8 than it is to 7.
So you do these calendars, you come home, you still struggle, and then you end up getting your life together. And now, the last 4 years of your life, you've been living better than you ever lived. You got a couple trucks.
I don't know if I've been living better than I ever lived. I think I've lived with more purpose than I've ever lived. I think I had it really. I mean, I had it made. I had something for people to hate on me for, and I did. I was on the cover of magazines. I was on the cover of AY magazine. I was here and there and everywhere. I've been to Cuba. I've had dinner with Ernesto Che Guevara Jr. the 8th, Alejandro de Rabania. I've been to the Partagas. I mean, all this crazy crap, right? And I just had this problem. I wanted to get high and do weird stuff, right? But I don't know if I live back. I live a simple life today. I live with a lot of purpose and principle. I'm very hardcore. I train very hard. My body's beat up, but I'm like you.
You definitely look good for a 50-year-old.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I work at it. I was 340 pounds. I was 340 pounds when I walked out on a PB. And that's almost, it's like 3 years and some change. And I was miserable.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. Would you say your working out, your health journey plays a part in your
huge? I teach it.
Yeah.
I believe that
that's part of your purpose too.
Right. I believe that masculinity is created in waking up early with the strong faith, and however you want to call it. I'm not going to tell you how you call your God is wrong. I know who I call my God. My God's Jesus.
Yeah, mine too.
And I think that we need more masculinity, and it starts early in the morning with some type of literature that you need to read that motivates you, so that because that's the deal. I want to set the example, because with some of the things I'm saying, we've toned it down a lot here, these embarrassing moments. Why would I say that? Because I want people to say, if that dude did that, then what is my excuse? I mean, if you sell yourself in a prostitution with another man for drugs and you're a man, right? That is one of the most easiest things to point people at and make fun of. And, I get it. I'm just a creative reader, but I did that. And now I am punishing people with my success. I am teaching them how to do it. Right. And I'm in the gym, I'm doing this, and I think that's not for everybody, but that's for me and my people. Right.
Okay. So what does the next 5 years look like for Jason?
Next 5 years, we want to, I've got a lot of great opportunity. I've got a big deal coming out of Atlanta with the movie industry on the Teamster side. It's a possibility. I've got Ryan and Claire Hall, a great family that does trucking. And of course, like we were talking about, he's got 2 race cars coming out. Probably going to make some Discovery movies with them. They'll be back on doing what they do. They're great people, man. Got a great deal, great family, want to support the community. Like I said, they're in North Carolina right now.
Yeah.
But for Jason, I think what's been put on my heart is to start felon diesel and duty, which what we want to do is we want to take the name felon. We want to put it on the table. We got a president that's got a felony conviction. I think it's time I think the problem with families and the community with the word felon is, it's the whole remedy of the corrections system. You've got somebody that acts out in society, that's a menace to society or sells dope or whatever. All my crimes, I didn't have a victim.
Yeah.
victimless crimes, right? But let's say, even with that, I own that, I go to prison. That's the whole idea of prison, is to make people forget that you're in society, right? And so people don't really understand what's going on in prison. They don't understand the felon process. They don't understand the rights. I mean, most of these people that have children get convicted for felonies don't understand that they'll never own a firearm again.
Yeah.
And if you're a federal conviction, what, the president's going to give you a pardon? On what level?
Yeah.
And so in the next 5 years, fam, felon, diesel, and duty, trucks, I'll be able to get an instructor license for the CDL, teaching trucks, maybe do kind of what you're doing. You start with a small nucleus, maybe 2 or 3 tiny homes, take a couple guys in, teach them how to mechanic, give them good paying jobs, and turn them out.
Yeah.
We want to turn them out. A lot of people don't want to invest in training people because the next guy may offer them $1 or $2 more an hour wage. I get that. But what that is saying is, if you're having a turnover ratio where your people are leaving you and they are getting hired immediately, then you must be the best education on the block. Otherwise, they wouldn't be shopping your people.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man. So one of the things we like to do on Prison to Purpose is we like to let you the last 30 seconds, right? Like anybody watching right now, listening to Jason, what do you want to leave them?
It starts with you. I didn't realize how bad I'd hurt my child or my mom or my legacy and all this. But the great thing about that is that you can unravel that, okay? And you can take your life and you can take your solutions and God and everything that you got going right now and box it up, right? And tie a bow on it. And if you will continue to seek purpose, goodness, work hard, dedicate yourself to doing everything that's uncomfortable, follow the rules of the recovery meeting. Hey, do what's right in your community, get partnered up in church, get around people that influence you, that make you feel a little bit, hey, I need to step up my game. Then 5 or 6 years later, you can pull that out and unwrap that, and it'll be a blessing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good stuff. Jason, I want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with me, man.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was a good conversation. It was definitely interesting. So
Just remember,
I want to thank everybody for watching and listening to From Prison to Purpose, and we will see you next week.
God bless you.
Like this video? Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss a single content drop in the future, and keep up to date on all future episodes of From Prison to Purpose.